So the Gator comes sweeping across here. This is the B race for the women, so we'll see both a B race for the women and then followed by the men. And, you know, again, we talked about it on the top of the show, Kara, kind of a unique situation at this event each and every year where they submit all the entries and we see all those entries and then we don't know until basically an hour before showtime what's going to make up the two different races. And I think that's just partly a reflection of how relatively early in this season is, right? Championship will be November 23rd, and you've been in a heavy block of training here in September, so you're making a lot of last-minute decisions based on fitness and conditioning, right?
Yeah, and you're seeing what athletes are developing, who train through the summer. These earlier meets give you an indication of, you know, who is your varsity squad going to be, and not everybody knows that yet. So that's why these early meets are important and frustrating for us. The coaches don't necessarily know exactly who's on varsity and who's not yet, but this is all information for the coaches, for the athletes, where they are, and who they want to put on that squad as they head into the season.
And we are underway here in this first of four races we'll have at this 2024 Nuttycombe, Wisconsin Invitational, the women's B race out on the course. And, you know, with the quality and the strength of the overall field, Kara, you know, that's the challenge these days with, you know, making a top conference cross-country team, especially if you're one of the, you know, younger athletes on a squad. You're looking for any opportunity you can to showcase that fitness and that effort you're putting in. And these B races do provide that for some of those folks who are looking to become maybe not the number one runner this year, but would like to be considered for maybe one of those last spots that could make it to a championship race and contribute to that team win.
Well, absolutely. That's the beauty of cross country, right? Is that you have a full squad, and you don't, not everyone needs to be an individual standout. You need a full 7 athlete roster that's good and deep, and you need 5 people to score well. And so that's the beauty of cross country, is that it truly is a team sport. And so a lot of times these athletes, they're sort of bubble athletes. They're somewhere between 5th and 9th place on the team. And these races are a good chance for them to prove, hey, I did my training over the summer. I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to step up and be on that squad. And because they're running the same course as the A races later, you know, I hate to focus on time, so they will be able to, you know, compare their time a little bit between what they run and what the A people run. And that'll give them an indication of where they are, and also their coaches. Where do they fall amongst everyone else against all the other varsity athletes? They'll get a good indication there.
Well, that is Dasha Vorontsov dashing her way to the early lead here from the Wisconsin Track Club. Takes a look at the watch there, but a good breakaway from her here in the early going. The rest of the field settling in. Again, 6,000 meters for the women, and the men will race 8K. A little bit underneath the championship distances. We'll see them racing later on in October and then ultimately into November. Just struck by what a difference a year makes, Kara, with these weather conditions, and really makes, as you said, this be a perfectly fast and swift course for these women today.
Yeah, it's a great way to get the season started. You know, one of the things about cross country is you never know what element you're going to face. Like you said earlier, my senior year at the NCAA championships, it was very, very cold, very, very windy. You never know what you're going to get. So kind of lucky sometimes when you get a day like this where, yeah, it might be a little bit warm, but you're not fighting the course itself. The course is in great shape. This is interesting. She has a big lead here, Paul, but she's not so concerned about running the tangent. You see the pack behind her really hugging that line, because the shortest distance, of course, around those corners is on that line. She's content to just go out there and power away up in front.
We'll be able to get an update on the full group in the front of the pack at about 2,000 meters. There's a couple of points out on the course where they do have timing mats, and they'll all come through and then be able to also populate real-time team scores. Those particularly more important when it comes to the A races coming up a little long. But what a beautiful setting for cross country. Really a mixture here, Kara, both just sort of that open space running, but then these little spots where you just kind of get a chance to run through the woods for a little while.
Yeah, this is an absolutely beautiful course, and it's fun to think about what it will be like at the NCAA championship. Athletes will go into those wooded patches and only hear each other's breath, and then they'll come out and hear the roar of the crowd. So these kind of courses are really special. Athletes love to run these courses. They're fun. They're true cross country. We've seen a change up front here, but this is a great course, and Wisconsin did a great job building this one out.
Karen Gosek, the senior from Eastern Kentucky, moving up and getting now a share of the lead. Right next to her, the freshman, Kristen McHugh of Texas A&M. Aggies well represented here in this B race. Brought a big squad here and kind of overtake that early leader here, beginning to thin out just a bit. And again, I would assume in these B races too, care for many of these athletes, particularly those who are the underclassmen, maybe the freshmen. This is it's a big moment to be able to get to a venue like this, and probably a little bit of little amped up energy in those legs in the early going.
Oh, for sure. I mean, most of these athletes haven't run on a course like this. And also, I mean, this is the same for the men as well, but they're used to running 5 kilometers, and now they have that extra kilometer. So a lot of new things that they're learning as they adjust to the college system. And so, it's a beautiful venue. It's a chance to kind of dip your toe into that next level of competition. What is it like at the collegiate level? I'm sure there are a lot of freshmen in this race. And then there are some upperclassmen that are, like we said earlier, just trying to prove that they belong to be on that varsity squad.
Yeah, one of those upperclassmen, Ava Dobson, now in view there in that chase position, the senior from North Carolina. As we continue to work our way through this early first third of the race in the B race in the women's Nuttycombe Invitational here in 2024. We go high above those tree lines, often giving us a little bit of an issue with getting a live picture from the gator. So the skies being clear today really help us in that early going, be able to cover some of this stuff. Now a good, nice downhill as you see that athletic tracker that gives you some sense of the undulations here in the course. And Carrie, you talk about that true test of cross-country racing. You feel really strongly it's got to test you both with your footing, but also you got to face some hills and deal with those downhills as well.
Yeah, look, everybody knows I love track and field. I love track and how fast it can be, but cross country is a different sport. It's not just supposed to be a track on grass. It's supposed to be different. It's supposed to be a little bit longer. It's supposed to have challenges. So I really love this course. That was a long climb for them. Now they get to come down a little bit and relax. But even the turns, all those things are different than you face in a track situation. It was interesting as they went through the woods, they got a little reprieve from the sunshine there with the shade of the trees. But cross country is about challenges. It's not about how fast you can go. It's about how can you make the most of yourself on the course and the conditions that you're given. I think it's really special. I love the sport so much.
So Karen Gosek now with a strong lead here in the first third of the race in this B race in the women's 6 kilometers. Behind her, Ava Dobson and Kelsey Harrington of North Carolina, kind of tag team trying to be in that chase position. And then Oregon's Ella Thorsett, one of those freshmen. Oregon coming in as one of the top-ranked teams in the country on the women's side. In fact, the top-ranked team here at Nuttycombe. Their team will toe the line as the 4th-ranked team in the country coming up here, coached by Shalane Flanagan. Back behind you, a few spots in the order of finish at that NCAA championships back in 2000. That's the other thing we're going to be talking about as we watch these team races unfold here. We're at a Big Ten cross-country meet, and the top-ranked team in the Big Ten wasn't in the Big Ten last year. In fact, the second-best team in the Big Ten wasn't in the Big Ten last year. That's Washington. Your school, Colorado, now in a different conference as well. What is that shakeup, you think, meaning for some of these athletes, or and maybe just the fans in general, trying to keep track of everything?
I mean, I think it's going to take some getting used to, Paul. It's very different to imagine Washington in the Big Ten, flying across the country to go compete in a conference championship. Colorado is back in the Big 12, which is what we were in when I was running there. Of course, there's more than 12 schools. So it's all really different. And I think it's going to take a year or two for everyone to get used to these new conferences, and we'll see how it plays out. It'll definitely be interesting.
So Gosek running very confidently here. As I mentioned, senior from Slovenia, who's at Eastern Kentucky, one of the groups, or one of the women rather, who was at California Baptist University last year and transferred. And that's one of the other big storylines inside of collegiate athletics right now. There is a lot of movement, and that has often to do with coaches moving to new programs, but also just the way the rules are set up now, and much different than what you experienced in your college days. These athletes have much easier ways to make changes to their training situation, and that's having a huge impact on programs that can become immediately competitive, and in some cases just can continue to reload each and every year.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about all of that, Paul. I think I'm worried long-term for the athletes. I think development in our sport is really important. And I think we're going to kind of start to lose that when we can just bring in an athlete so easily. It certainly makes for extremely competitive teams, and it makes it coaches have to stay on their toes, because an athlete can leave at any moment, and you can get another athlete at any moment. So it keeps the coaches on their toes. I'm a little worried what it means for long-term development of these athletes, but we'll see how it plays out over the next few years. So far we've still had incredible athletes. Obviously, we saw Parker Valby just dominate this last year, this entire season, the cross-country season, and then the track season. She went on to make the Olympic team and run very well there. So you never know what's going to happen, but I just think, a lot of distance running is about long-term development, buying into a program, buying into a training system. And with the transfer portal the way it is now, you don't really have to do that. And so it's just going to be interesting to see what the results are from that. But certainly it's keeping coaches on their toes, because it's very easy for athletes to leave if they want.
So over halfway home on this first of 4 races in our coverage of the 2024 Nuttycombe Wisconsin Invitational, the women's B race. Gosek of Eastern Kentucky continues to lead there, but beginning to have some company here near the front of the pack. That lead group now beginning to thin out just a little bit more, but pretty solid numbers there, going back to third all the way back to maybe 25 or 30 in that group that is behind. We'll have another chance to reset the leaderboard here in about a half a kilometer as they'll come through the 4-kilometer mark. They're back out in the open space. The sun is out. If you just joining us, the weather conditions here reaching almost 70 degrees right now, given what is happening in other parts of the country, and we send our thoughts out to folks down in the areas affected by the hurricane rolling through Florida and parts of Georgia, and hope everybody down there is safe and comfortable as they can be under those conditions. But right now, the racing here at Nuttycombe beginning to switch up a bit, as Ava Dobson from North Carolina has now moved to the lead, showing some patience here, but has decided now to take matters into her own hands and move to the lead here with almost 2 kilometers remaining.
Well, you said it, Paul. She showed a lot of patience. She sort of sat back and watched everyone else in the front, maintained her contact, but let them sort of duke it out. And now she's decided to go to the front, and she's putting daylight on right away here. So she's shown a lot of patience here. It's these early season meets are tough. You have to remember how to race. Racing cross country is different than on the track. On the track, you're constantly getting feedback from split times. Cross country is really about that intuitive racing, knowing when you want to go and really having to trust yourself. You have to know your body rather than knowing the split time. So these first few races are so important for athletes to really get back in that rhythm, but she's doing a great job right now.
The senior from the Tar Heels out of Greenville, South Carolina, was the 5th place runner for the Tar Heels in the Charlotte opener to start this 2024 season. So getting a taste of being able to contribute to overall team success. Now trying to contribute here as a top individual as she attacks one of these climbs at Nuttycombe. She was an ACC outdoor qualifier on the track as well during the outdoor season earlier this year at 5,000 meters. But now she has the lead here, closing in on 4,000 meters complete. In fact, they just crossed through that 4,000 meters in 14:19. And Dobson has the lead there. You see it coming across the line. 4:19 is her advantage. It looks like 3 seconds ahead of Gosek, who's starting to see a host of others try to catch her and move past her, and seeing if they can stay within contact of Dobson. That includes Molly Fitzpatrick of Boston College, Clara Keene of Iona, Stella Kermes of Virginia, and representing the home team, Nora Gremban of Wisconsin, the freshman back there in 7th. Still 2K to go, Kara, so plenty of time to try to get back into position and try to catch Dobson here in front.
Yeah, well, Dobson looked very powerful up that hill, but I don't think she's really pulling away that much. So those women they're staying on her. And like you said, Paul, there's still 2K to go. Lots of racing still left. You know, lots of that coming into that home stretch and being able to see for a while. So this is turning out to be a pretty competitive race. She is gaining a little bit more daylight here. She looked very, very powerful up that hill. But they're not letting her go quite yet.
Some 3 seconds back, 3.5 back for Molly Fitzpatrick of Boston College.
So into these last 2 kilometers of this B race, you can see also there are enough individual members in a few of the squads to have a team battle here in bragging rights for this B race. Utah, another realignment school from the former Pac-12 conference, leading with 42 points. Iowa State with 69, and Wisconsin there in 3rd in 84. You know, I think, you know, as we get into these cross-country, you know, races, that's the thing, you know, after calling so many track and field events with you, Karen, when we focus on time and individual performance, and maybe you're representing, in the case of our time in Paris, for Team USA, this is really the best of team competition at the collegiate level. I mean, I think, you know, there's going to be some attempts, I think, during the outdoor season next year and even in the indoors to try to find more ways to do kind of scoring meets and bring back some of that, you know, great dual meet action that we would see over the course of a long history in college athletics. But, you know, cross country is still about getting 5 people across the line, and that first, second, and third runner could be first, second, and third, but that doesn't mean you're going to win the team race, because it all has to do with the combination and the collective effort on that day by that entire team.
I think that's what makes it so special, right? And they're all in the same race at the same time. When you have a track competition, you have people in different events, and it's still special. But in cross country, they're all on the course at the same time. They're training together day in and day out for the same distance, for the same conditions. And it doesn't matter if you have a superstar, because you need 5 people. And so it just makes it such a special event. Like, you could be a Graham Blanks of Harvard who's fighting to win, but he's just as invested in his 5th runner on his team, because he wants his team to be on that podium, and he can't do it by himself. He has to have a full squad. So I think that's what makes this sport so special and so fun. When we talk about adding cross country to the Olympics, of course, I'm all in on that. But I don't think it will ever be quite as special as NCAA collegiate level cross country, just because these athletes are, you know, a lot of them are living together, training together, eating together, dreaming together. It's very, very special.
So under a kilometer to go here in this women's B race at the 2024 Nuttycombe, Wisconsin Invitational. That is Ava Dobson of North Carolina trying to hold on to the lead here. Several lead changes in this race, with a couple of surges by a few different athletes, Kara, but none of them have been able to use that surge to effectively eliminate the rest of the field.
Yeah, but I have to say I'm impressed by Dobson. She's, had a couple people on her shoulder, and she's remained strong and stayed out in front. So, she has, a little over a half kilometer to go here. See if she can hold on and win this thing. She's been able to sort of resist everyone else. And now these top two really seems like they've pulled away from the rest of the pack. And now they're sort of in a battle now for who's going to win this.
I believe that's Molly Fitzpatrick of Boston College, the junior. As you see Dobson there with the lead, and Fitzpatrick, who was 4.5 seconds behind her at 4K, has clearly cut into that lead and just kind of lurking here now, Kara. And it's, again, a point in the race where you're kind of just trying to gauge each other's strategy here, right? And you have maybe a slight advantage. You got to get there. You got to get a few strides closer, though, to make that move, don't you?
Yeah, I think, maybe she has that in her back pocket. She's hoping she'll be able to kick by, but she needs to squeeze it down just a little bit here. Dobson still has a decisive lead. Doesn't mean it's over. It's cross country. Anything can happen. But, yeah, you want to be in that contention to really flip that switch and go. But she has not given up. And I like her form. Both of them are looking good and strong. This is going to be a good finish, Paul. This is one heck of a way to start the day.
As Dobson continues to lead here, maybe getting some encouragement from the sidelines here, but now Fitzpatrick as close as she's ever been, and now they're going to be stride for stride. A little bit of a rise here to the finish line, but Fitzpatrick and Dobson are going to take this one all the way to the finish. As Fitzpatrick now moves to the lead. And it does not look like Dobson has anything to respond here as Fitzpatrick starts to crest that hill. The race behind her for the rest of the places looking fairly strong. Sonia Korolova of Utah in view. But here is the junior from Boston College, Molly Fitzpatrick, going to take the victory in the B race of the women's 6,000 in 21:15.2. Dobson second, Korolova of Utah is third, followed by Ashlyn Keeney of Iowa State, and Nora Gremban of Wisconsin, the freshman, will round out the top five. Gosek, one of our leaders earlier in the race, finishing in seventh, ahead of Liz Phillips and Clara Keene, and the Oregon freshman Ella Thorsett in a solo effort. The only Oregon athlete in this B race finishes in 10th. Well, as we predicted, Carriage, Molly Fitzpatrick just had to get back in contact with Dobson, and when she did, classic move, go by her and keep going and try to break her, and Dobson didn't have anything to respond with.
Yeah, it looked like she was almost just hanging on to Dobson, hanging on, but when she decided to go, you could see it in her arms, you could see it in her turnover. There was no stopping her. She charged up that final climb there. That's what this is all about, right? You have to know what race strategy works best for you. Dobson went out there, tried to run away with it. He couldn't quite manage it. Strong second place for her, but Fitzpatrick had one heck of a finish there.
Okay, careful, I'm leaning this because...
Rest of the field continues to come through, and we'll keep our camera firmly attached to this finish line chute so you can keep an eye out for an athlete you were wanting to see come across the line. Again, this is the B race. And you mentioned it too, Kara, this same distance, same course, so you get across the line, figure out that time, and you'll get ready to watch, in many cases, your teammates run that A race, but you've already set a mark that you can use to compare after watching that race on the A race unfold?
Yeah, I mean, these women went and they ran hard, and I think these times are very solid times. So for them, they're trying to show their coaches that they're ready to race in that A race. You know, maybe their summer training went well, maybe they've stepped it up from a year ago, and they do care about their time because they are able to compare it to what happens later in the program today. So we like to say that time doesn't matter in cross country, but in these certain circumstances, they do matter as coaches are trying to decide who they're going to bring to the next big meet, who are they going to bring to pre-nationals, who are they going to bring to the Dillinger Invite. Like, all those things matter, and this helps them make those choices.
And great job by the staff here at the University of Wisconsin, making sure that they can address any issues as the athletes come across the line. This is a relative warm day for late September in any part of the country too. But Kara, you know, just warm conditions can be tough to manage if you haven't prepared to manage them.
Yeah, I think most of these athletes are coming off summer training, so they should be okay. But you never know, and especially as the men are racing 8K, that's a little bit longer out there. That's one of the things about cross country that's so wild. You can have these early season meets where it is very, very warm. And then depending on where the national championship is, in this case, it'll be back here in Wisconsin, it can be very, very cold and different. There can be snow on the ground, wind, really cold temps. So that's cross country. You got to be ready for anything.
So Utah gets that team victory here in the B race. If you are keeping score at home, the Utes with removing athletes out of the race that did not have enough athletes for team scoring purposes. Utah gets 1st, 7th, 9th, 11th, and 12th for 40 points. Iowa State with their B squad finishing in 2nd, and the host school of Wisconsin finishing in 3rd. So the first race of our schedule here at Nuttycombe is complete. Women's B race won by Molly Fitzpatrick of Boston College. When we return, the men out on the course with their B race as well. Stick around. We'll have an extended break, but the racing is scheduled to begin in just under 15 minutes.
Save the date, mark your calendar. Wednesday, December 18th, it's the presentation of the Bowerman. The winners of college track and field's highest honor announced live on runnerspace. Join us for a celebration of the 2024 season featuring award finalist Maya Ramsden of Harvard, Oregon's Jada Ross, Parker Valby of Florida, men's side Caleb Dean of Texas Tech, Georgia's Christopher Morales-Williams, and Leo Neugebauer of Texas. It's the greatest athletes, special guests, surprises, and of course, the raising of the Bowerman Trophy. See it all on runnerspace December 18th.
He steps into the ring for his final attempt. He'll need a big throw to regain the lead. It's looking good.
Feeling athletic? Get the Athletic app.
Sorry, it all happened so fast.
Ooh, $1.
Ah, good.
Oh, hey, jerk, give me that. I'm saving up for runnerspace Plus subscription. This baby put me over the top.
I wouldn't pay for that. I don't like to support stuff. Woo, stinky.
Dude, do you always throw away your socks? That's your Plus subscription right there.
Seriously?
With a Plus subscription, you'll gain access to all our live webcasts and the largest archive of running videos anywhere on the planet. Or you could just be like him.
Save my cat!
I got it.
He passed on the last height, leaving everything up to this third and final attempt. Here's the takeoff. Beautiful form. Can he get there?
Feeling athletic? Get the Athletic app.
You need to get your hips up.
Here's the final handoff. They were a little shaky in the prelims, but they get away clean here.
Feeling athletic? Get the Athletic app.
3 centimeters to get back in front. And here's the approach. He's got great speed. Takeoff looks good. Feeling athletic? Get the Athletic app.
How dare you?
Sorry.
6th and final round of the competition. She needs a big one here to get on the podium. Look at that release. Feeling athletic? Get the Athletic app.
Runnerspace Plus is your home for the top collegiate cross-country meets this fall. Our platform offers the most extensive live and on-demand programming in the country. Here's what's coming up. Whether it's key national meets or the best in regional action, Runnerspace has you covered. Sign up for Plus today at plus.runnerspace.com.